Hello everyone, this is Jacob Ames, Applications Engineer with Hawk Ridge Systems, here today with part 1 of our SOLIDWORKS Basics for New Users series. In this video we'll be covering the basics of the SOLIDWORKS user interface, giving you the tools and understanding that you'll need in order to be prepared for your first design, tutorial, or training class. Now when SOLIDWORKS initially starts, you'll be presented with a welcome dialog if you're on SOLIDWORKS 2018. If this is the case, to get started, simply click the Part button in the New category. This will open a brand new document, and all the elements of the user interface should be revealed at this point, so your interface should look something like mine. If you're on an earlier version, however, SOLIDWORKS 2017 or prior, you'll need to make use of the standard toolbar to start a new document, specifically the New icon. Clicking this will open up a template selection menu where you'll click the Part icon and then simply click OK. If your template selection menu doesn't look like this, if it looks a little bit more complicated, be on the lookout for the Novice button right here in the bottom left of the dialog, and make sure to click that to take you back. Now, once you've started a new part, you'll notice that the SOLIDWORKS user interface is actually divided into 6 unique sections. These are the standard toolbar, the command manager, the feature manager design tree, the heads-up view toolbar, the task pane, and finally, the graphics area. And we'll be covering all of these in detail, starting with the standard toolbar. Now, the standard toolbar can be used for basic functions like starting a new document. You can also open and save documents here. And at the far right, you'll find a gear icon where you can access the system options. Additionally, hovering the cursor over the SOLIDWORKS badge will present you with file dropdowns. So all the commands and options for SOLIDWORKS are available here. And of particular interest is the help dropdown, which has SOLIDWORKS tutorials in it. So when you're ready to begin your first tutorial, this is where you'll want to look. And just remember, hovering your cursor over pretty much anything in SOLIDWORKS will display a tooltip that will show you what that command does. Next up is the command manager. Now this is a context-sensitive toolbar that gives you different sets of commands based on the mode that you're in. So you'll see we have different tabs down here for features, for sketch mode, we have evaluation commands, and you can toggle between these tabs by simply clicking on them. This is the primary area where you'll be accessing your commands if you want to add or remove material or evaluate your models or start a sketch, among many others. In many cases, SOLIDWORKS will automatically switch to the appropriate tab, but you may have to select them manually. Additionally, not all of the tabs are going to be shown by default, so if you end up using a specialized set of tools like sheet metal or weldments, you'll need to right-click an existing tab and choose a new tab in order to show it in the list, and then you'll be able to navigate to it. These tabs are very customizable, and we've actually linked a video that will help you understand how to modify and add commands to your command manager, so definitely check that out if you're interested in customizing the command manager. Finally, I always like to mention that it's possible to search for commands. This is really great for new users. As you're getting up to speed, it's going to be difficult to know where all the commands live, and some of them only exist in those file dropdowns. So if you'd like, in the search bar right here, you can click the down arrow, choose commands, and type in the name of a command, such as something basic like the line tool, and you can click that to go ahead and access it directly, or you can even click the eyeball here and it'll show you where that location is. You can see it automatically navigated to the sketch tab and then hovered our cursor right over that line tool. So definitely make sure that you're making use of searching for commands that can save you a lot of time and effort. The next section is the feature manager design tree. This is a chronological hierarchy of all the sketches and features that have been created or applied to the model, and those will appear just after the origin. Now, because we don't have any geometry here, we don't have any features or sketches yet, there's nothing listed there, but we do a lot of our work directly from this feature manager design tree. It also contains the 3 default planes, as seen here, that are used as our primary sketching surfaces, and there's a lot of other information. So you'll be spending quite a bit of time in this area, and occasionally this space is going to be replaced by something else, like a property manager where you make adjustments to features and sketch entities. Or if you want to work with configurations. So don't worry if the feature manager design tree disappears. If it ever does, you can simply click this first tab once again to return to it. And if it seems to have disappeared completely, we see this a lot, be on the lookout for a very small tab right here. If you click that, it'll return the feature manager and you'll be able to see it again. We then have the heads-up view toolbar. That's this transparent toolbar at the top of the graphics area. This provides a number of controls for manipulating things like the colors and the appearances of your designs, as well as your perspective of them. You may also hear this referred to as the heads-up display toolbar, and commonly used functions here include fitting the model to the screen. If you ever lose track of a model, you can use zoom to fit to find it again. You can also change the display style, so if you would like to change so that your model does not show edges, or if you want hidden lines removed, there's various display styles here. And this icon will allow you to change the view orientation of your model to standard orthographic views. Then we have the task pane. This set of buttons over here on the right, yours may look a little bit different depending on the module that you have installed with SOLIDWORKS. The extra one that I have here is SOLIDWORKS PDM, so you may or may not see that. And this is a collection of miscellaneous tools and things like drawing tools, access to your design library so you can access commonly used information in multiple projects. And we don't really have the time or scope to cover all of those here, but just know when somebody says task pane that this is what they're referring to. And then finally, we have the graphics area. The graphics area is where all of the magic happens. This is where all of your models and drawings are viewed. This is where they're controlled and selected. And to show this a little bit better, I'm going to go ahead and open up a model so that we can understand how to work in that graphics area. So I've used the open command here in the standard toolbar. I'm going to click this example part that I have, and we'll choose open to open that up. All right, so first things first, left click anything in the graphics area to select it. All right, so I've just selected that top face. You can also left click and drag the cursor to create a selection window, and depending on what it covers, you will select different entities. So you can see I just got this face over here on the left. Additionally, the right click is used a lot as well. If I right click on an entity, it's going to bring up both a shortcut menu and a context menu. When we say shortcut menu, we're referring to this larger menu that has the text on it. The context menu is the upper menu that has just the symbols. So that's the basics of selection. Now to rotate a model, and this is a really critical aspect for new users, you need to be familiar and understand how to rotate and zoom and everything else. And rotation is probably the hardest to grasp, so you want practice with that. To rotate a model, you're going to click down on the center mouse wheel as if it were a button, and then drag around on the screen. And you can see I can rotate this around freely. And that can be a little bit difficult to get used to, so you want to get some practice with that. By the way, if rotation is activated while hovering over a piece of existing geometry, that point will remain stationary. So that's a good trick to be familiar with as well. If you hold Control key and do the same thing, click down on that center mouse wheel while holding Control and drag the cursor, you can now pan your model. And by the way, if you don't have a mouse wheel, you can use the center mouse button. For zoom, we like to use the mouse wheel there too. You can scroll the center mouse wheel forward to push the model away from you and zoom out. You can scroll it backward in order to bring the model close to you. One thing I like to point out with zoom is that SOLIDWORKS is going to zoom in wherever your cursor is. So if my cursor is up here in the top left of the screen, I'm going to be zooming in kind of away from my model. So you want to make sure that your cursor is hovering over where you want to zoom. Again, if you don't have a mouse wheel, we do have a shortcut for that. You can hold the Shift key and click and drag the center mouse button or the center mouse wheel, and you can zoom in that way as well. All right, so that covers the basics of the SOLIDWORKS user interface. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and visit us at hawkridgesys.com. And by the way, be on the lookout for part 2, where we introduce the basics of sketching for new SOLIDWORKS users. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.